Okay, so by now you've probably had an opportunity just to have a look at the new names and the new lineup. But can I just start by saying that the announcement today of the new cabinet reflects, I think, 3 years of hard work in the previous government. It builds on the work of the last 3 years, and it has some clear objectives. It shows that we're going to be emphasising jobs and growth as a big part of the next 3 years. Welfare reform will be very important to the government. We campaigned on that. The reform of public services is an important part of the agenda, making sure that we deliver better public services to New Zealanders. Education remains a very critical focus for us, and of course the rebuild of Christchurch. So along with those areas of emphasis, we want to continue to build on the gains that we achieved in the last 3 years, particularly law and order and health. Let me just run through a few of the highlights for you and then happy to take any questions that you might have. In terms of the lineup, Jerry Brownlee remains at number 3. What I'd say is the work in Christchurch in relation to the earthquake is progressing well, and I feel now is the time for Jerry to resume some other ministerial responsibilities. He's picking up transport from Stephen Joyce, which is a big portfolio from our perspective. He's also taking a newly created position in relation to EQC. What we want to do is reflect on the experiences and learnings of the last 12 to 15 months and to revamp EQC. It's quite clear from the recent Christchurch earthquakes that the structure is not the most efficient one that we can have. New Zealanders need, I think, a better structure, and we ask Jerry to work alongside Bill English to achieve that. Amy Adams comes in to Cabinet, as you will have seen, at number 20, reflecting a very stellar performance in the first 3 years in Parliament. And she's going to be Jerry Brownlee's associate, so I'd be anticipating she'll spend quite a lot of time on the ground in Christchurch, helping with that rebuild. The big jump in terms of cabinet rankings is Stephen Joyce to number 4. I think that reflects the reality of what's been a tremendous first term by Stephen Joyce. He also picks up a big area of focus for us, and that is how we can lift economic performance. So we've put together a portfolio that we think can lift overall growth and competitiveness of the economy. We know there's a close link between innovation and economic performance. So he has the portfolios of economic development, of science and innovation, of tertiary skills and employment, coupled with associate finance. So if you think about our finance team, it's really Bill English as Minister of Finance and Stephen Joyce taking the innovation side of the economy. At number 5, Judith Collins moves up from number 7. She's taking over the work that Simon Coward did such a great job of over the last 3 years in justice. She's also taken ACC, where we want to bank the gains of the last 3 years, but there's more work to be done there in both of those portfolios. Tony Ryle is at number 6. He continues to look after health for us, where he did a tremendous job over the last 3 years, but is going to be responsible for SOEs, which he was in the latter part after Simon Power announced he was leaving Parliament. The reason for that is it reflects the importance of having a senior minister to guide the mixed ownership model through and the importance of that work program. You'll note that number 7, Hekia Parata, picks up the very important portfolio of education. Hekia has a real passion for education. She has historical skills in that area when she worked in Parliament bureaucracy. I think she's going to be a stellar Minister of Education, and I think she'll make great gains in that area. Paula Bennett's coming onto the front bench. She'll be the Minister responsible for social development, the Minister responsible for the revamp of the welfare system. David Carter has very increased responsibilities in a new portfolio of primary industries. Effectively, we're bringing together all of the logical primary industries, whether it's agriculture, forestry, aquaculture, and fisheries, and biosecurity. And he'll be assisted by Nathan Guy, who's also coming into Cabinet. And Tolly takes up the responsibilities previously held by Judith Collins. She'll be responsible for police and corrections, but it's also Jerry Brownlee's deputy as the leader of the House. In terms of new ministers that have come in, Nathan Guy, Craig Foss and Amy Adams are the 3 new ministers that come into Cabinet, and outside of Cabinet the whips have been promoted. Chris Tremaine and Joe Goodhue and Chester Burrows picking up responsibility there. Can I just finally make one other last comment? That's in relation to some of the thinking we were doing around the ministries. Firstly, we did want to freshen the front bench, and I think we've done that, as you'll see by the lineup. But we also wanted to use the opportunity to trim a number of the portfolios on the back of the advice that we got, both from our experiences but also the Cabinet Office, where we thought some of them just weren't required as an individual portfolio in their own right. Rugby World Cup is still some legacy responsibilities, but that gets folded into sport and recreation. Infrastructure is being folded back into finance now that that long-term 20-year program has been established. The Education Review Office is going into education, Archives of the National Library going into internal affairs, disarmament going into foreign affairs, and of course that big conglomerate of primary industry. So that's really the basis behind our